Right, so here we go again. This is totally unscheduled. Scheduled? This is a totally unscheduled live stream. So I live streamed this episode yesterday and it didn't go too well, I can tell you that, because it was like out of sync. I'm using a new setup with a Logitech C920 camera that I got yesterday, and then I'm using OBS software on a MacBook. I borrowed my girlfriend's MacBook, and so it's a new setup for me, so I'm still learning how to set it up. So I got the sync wrong and everything, so it was a bit out of sync. The problem was when I went back to look at the actual video, that like the video that gets put up after you do a live stream, 2 minutes into the video, it gets really out of sync. And the video varies in speed so much, even though the audio stays in the same speed. So 20 minutes towards the end, the audio disappears. And it's so out of sync after 50 minutes, you can't even follow what's happening. So it's a totally unwatchable video. So I had to make it private. I didn't delete it yet because there are some comments there and things. And I always want to keep the comments that people make. So I had to make this new one. And so in this live stream, hello and welcome to attaQ Live, by the way. I hope that this is more synced. I'm using a lower bitrate right now. And this is kraft. And I'm supposed to go through this kraft surface here. So that's what happens when you stream live. I can't do anything about that. I'm just gonna, as usual, always check the stream going out to see if it sounds as good as I think it did. I sat all morning testing this again. So yeah, that's it. All right, so I see a few comments here already. Hello, Joe. Hello, John back. So, right. If you were here yesterday, any of you watching right now, I'm going to go through the same thing that I did yesterday, only I'm going to keep the stream for 1 hour. So, again, if anything is out of sync, just tell me in the description, because that way you'll be helping me knowing if what I'm doing is right. Right now, I'm using the Stream Live Now feature on YouTube instead of making an event. And it's always worked for me when I've streamed with iOS only. Only I'm not doing that now. I'm still using OBS. And I think I might just connect my Logitech camera directly to the Stream Now live service. Because as Accurate Beats told me, Andreas, he told me that he does that and that just works. Right. Okay, so round 2, this is kraft, and I'm going to go through this surface, and we're going to start with the bass. You know, I'm pretty lucky being able to do this. I feel really privileged, and even though I already did this, I don't have a problem with doing it again because I just love this project and I love kraft. So with the bass, so we have 2 different bass sounds on either side of each other, and then we have we have another bass sound here. So this is the sub. Now I'm using a lower bitrate for the audio, so I'm not sure if the sub is going through here. Is the sub going through? Right, so this thing over here, it's the same thing as this one. It's only I made it like a 4-bar loop to fit like these basses. But in the end, I'm not using them because I don't need them. I'm fine with just using these as they are. Okay, so what we actually have here are layered sounds. So I'm gonna go into edit mode and I'm gonna take this one and this rhombus. Is it rhombus? Is it rhombus? I'm gonna take this rhombus shape, this cell. I'm gonna take this shape. It's already going well straight off the bat. So as you can see, there are 2 colors here, and that's basically because it's a layer. So I've got a top layer with one bass sound in it, with all of the lower frequencies shaved off. And in the lower one, I've got a bass sound, a sub-bass sound. And I do that because in Kraft, the filters are only one pole. So you can set them to the equalizer. You can set it to high pass, low pass, peak, a notch. Can you set it to notch? We'll have a look at that in a second. So since I don't have more bands than one to work with, I usually like having at least two. It's something I told Alex from Studio Amplify. So hopefully they'll add more nodes to the filter to work with, more bands. So since I can't do that, I'm using one lower sub-bass sound filtering off all the tops of the frequency spectrum, this one. And then I'm using a high pass filter to filter off everything from the lows in this one. So if we play them individually, can you get that? And as you can hear, there's no bass in there. Let me pull this one too, because this one is also layered. Oh, I love that so much. So this way I could keep the mix clean, so I know exactly what kind of frequencies I'm working with. That's why I like layering stuff. Only in Kraft you have to think a bit ahead when you're layering stuff, because the last thing you create, the last cell you create, gets placed on top of everything else. So let me show you. If I take this cell and I clone it, now this is the last thing I created. That means when I move it, sorry. When I move it, oh come on, don't do that. When I move it like this, you can see that the colors stay on top of everything else. And so let me move this to the side, and I'll move this here. And I still want this to be under this one. It won't be that now. You see, it moves under it. So for this to work, what I actually have to do then is take this one, clone it, and now it will be placed on top of it. So that's one thing with Kraft you have to think about always when you're layering your cells. So yeah. Joe says, levels are fine, it's just the lower frequencies that are hard to hear due to the reduced bitrate. And I think I spit on my iPad. I did that yesterday. I was hoping I wouldn't have one of those again. Have my coffee ready here. It's my second cup. I woke up with this stressed feeling that the stream yesterday was bad, and I was right. Okay, so what we actually have here are 3 cells with the same note in them. But as you can hear, we got different wobble rates for the filters. And the way I did that is with velocity. So there are several ways to modulate stuff inside Kraft. And now we're actually going to go into a cell. So we're going to go into this one. Press edit, and here we can see I have one note. And the way I'm controlling the LFO, the wobble rate, the LFO rate that is wobbling the filter is with velocity. So if we go to this page, this is the synthesizer page, and we scroll all the way over here and we go to velocity, we can see that the velocity is controlling the filter. I'm not using the full range here. If you pull it all the way up so it says 1, then you're using the full range of the velocity will control the full range of the filter. Let's see here. We go to LFO, and we can see that the LFO is controlling the filter up to 0.73. So that's the strength of the wobble rate. Oh, I actually like that. I'm gonna change that. No, I'm gonna keep it like this, but still, I love that. So if we go to the sequencer here, and if I tap and hold, I don't want to let go now. I'm going to move it like this. We can see that the velocity is 91. And so I set the velocity different for each of the notes in each of the cells. So if we... The way you change velocity is by touching at the end here, at that little marker, and then pulling up and down. And you can see the velocity changes. And so I'm going to move this back to 91. Wait. Come on, 91. Right. And so if we go and check this cell with the little emoji in it, check the velocity here, we can see that the velocity is 98. So very small, minute changes that I'm doing. How are you inputting velocity on a touchscreen? Oh, and then, okay, yeah, John, so I just explained that and you get it right. So never mind me reading that comment. That's another thing. I mean, you have this 3D touch thing. You could probably use that for controlling the velocity sensitivity, but it's really messy. I've tried using 3D touch with other apps. I can't remember exactly what apps, but I've just felt that when I try to use it, it's really, really hard to get stuff right with the pressure. Because when you perform, you're not really like, especially a track like this, you're dancing around and stuff. So if you're holding down your finger on the pad and you're moving, you're just changing the pressure of your finger against the surface. And no, 3D touch isn't for me. Okay, so let's see here. Oh, let's have a look at the actual sound. Now, you can't save your own presets in Kraft yet, and that's a bit unfortunate, because if you've got a sound right, I want to put this out there, if you get a sound right and then you accidentally press one of these arrows, then you will change the sound and there's no way of getting back to where you were in the beginning. So you got to be careful. Now you get the preset list by pressing there and you can see all of it. Oh, I just don't want to touch the wrong one now. And I'm using the Evil Eye one, and then I've of course changed it a bit. Tosborn, a viewer that he's been viewing my stuff almost or for as long as Joe O'Hagan here in the chat room, and he asked how I'm making my sounds inside Kraft. And what I told him basically is I go to the waves page after choosing a preset that I like, okay, and I work from there. And the first thing I do is, since this is frequency modulation, FM synthesis, each of the oscillators or each of the operators, you have three here: waveform A, waveform B, waveform C. They are all modulating each other with their frequencies. And so you set the frequency with the pitch, and then you just choose, set the strength of the output of that operator or oscillator, whatever you want to call it, really. If it's FM synthesis, they call it operator. Then you just set the output strength of it with the gain. So it's really simple to work. And FM synthesis is one of the coolest types of synthesis, because you can get some really cool sounds really, really quickly, and it's very easy to get gritty sounds because of the frequency modulation stuff. It's not really like tight as you get with additive synthesis, for instance. So I simply pull down on each of the gain of the waveform B and waveform C, so I only have one waveform to listen to. And then I go through all the different waveforms inside the oscillator to find one that I like. And I make one from scratch. So it really doesn't matter what kind of preset I choose from the beginning, but I usually work from one preset and ahead. And when I'm done with that, I go to the distortion, because a lot of the beauty inside Kraft and its synthesizer engine, especially for bass and screamy leads, is the distortion menu. And you got three sources of distortion. You got fuzz, four actually. Three. You got fuzz, you got ring modulation, and sample and hold. So three different types of distortions you can introduce into your sound, which is awesome. Okay. So that's how that's going. And of course, I've already explained that it's layered and I'm using a sub bass in there. And that's just to keep the pressure up from the bass, basically. Now I got a switch up here. And so what that basically is, if we go into that, it's a morph cell. And morph cell, you can give specific values controlling specific things. And if we go in here, we can see that I'm controlling the FM inside the distortion menu, inside the synthesizer. I'm sending you out a value to the FM. So when I press this, the default value is 3.22. And then when I press it and activate it, the target value is 6.48. So what it does is it introduces even more FM distortion, frequency modulation distortion, into the sound. And that way you can have multiple sounds from the same sound. Basically, it's really cool like that with Kraft. You can have one sound that you're working from, and just with a switch you can change the sound completely. Just to show you a small thing that I've done here, I'm just going to exit this surface really quick. I'm going to go back to it, and I'm going to open up the Atomos one. I showed this at the end of the live stream yesterday. I showed this at the end of the live stream yesterday, and it's a little man. And if we listen to the bass sound here, what am I doing? Start the loop. Let me do this with drum and bass track to it. So you can see how quickly you get a lot of control of your sound with these morph cells. I just love this. This is absolutely brilliant. Being able to build your own surface like this and building your own switches for each of your sounds is just crazy. So you can basically put up, make a lead instrument and put it out as a keyboard, as I've done in my other project here, in this My Craft is Strong thing that I did. So like this, and then you just put out different morph cells and change stuff. So that's basically the bass. The bass to the side here is exactly the same thing as everything here. I simply copied what I had here and just cloned the cells and put them to the side. And underneath I put a sub doing the same thing. So it's a layered sound, and it's got the same settings for the velocity and filter settings, because I've just basically cloned all of this. The only thing I did was go in and make a new sound for it, a new preset. There you go. So if we jump up top here, we have the Arpeggiator. And here's another cool thing. With these are just triggers for... Let me just show you. You can hear how it changes in rhythm depending on when I activate it. So I'll show you what this is. It's just a note in here. Okay, not there, but there. Here there is a note. There. And so all of these triggers have different notes in different notes, in different keys. Inside the scale, of course. I'm using it Dorian scale, I think. And so when you've got a loop already triggered and you're activating this, it gets mixed in, and depending on when you trigger it in the tempo, they're all already locked to a master tempo clock. The best way to show you is this. Not that. Stop. Edit, go in there and press edit and go to the cogwheel menu. So as we can see that this rhombus, this cell is synchronized to a 1/16th note. So it's not synchronized to the master, but 1/16th, meaning that the sound will be triggered at 1/16th of the BPM. So you can trigger it like you get what I mean, right? I mean, you can trigger it at 1, 4, 5 in the beat and in between. So you can get some really cool rhythmical patterns with the same block or same cell. I like that. And then the mix mode is in blend, so it blends in together with a loop already running from the same instrument. So I could just choose solo, and what it would do then, let me start this loop and wait, which one did I just check? Was it this one? Yeah, it was. Okay. So that's not as fun, is it? So that's why I choose to blend it. And then you can get some really cool results like this. Well, you kind of get the idea. You can get really creative with your stuff, but it's still in tempo. Strong point of kraft. It's really nice. I got some paper here because I'm making some fatty marks. But this is my call sign. That's how you know you're watching a haQ video with Jakob in it. It's obsessive about his wiping the screen. It's just... Is it called rhombus? Joe says it's called rhombus. Rhombus. Is that how you pronounce it? Rhombus. Like RHOMBUS. Rhombus. Like a rhombus. Is that it? Is that it? Am I doing it right? I'm gonna go with rhombus. That works for me. So if we look at this side here, we can see that we've got another little knob right over the rhombus. And if we use it, so it's basically controlling the filters, and my headband is messing with me. I must look weird now. You see, my headphones are broken. Those notches that keeps the headphones like on here is just, they're just killing. They're dead. They're dead. They're broken. So the headphones go like that. So I have to, never mind. So it's basically, this knob is just controlling the filter, and we can just have a look at it. Go into the edit mode, and it's control for the dial bass, the dial bass, and it's got a snapback function. You can put it in either snapback, and that means it will go back to where it was before, or you can use the sticky, and then it works like any kind of knob. So you just set it to wherever you want to set it. I like the snapback though. So it's just sending out a... Oh, I forgot. So this knob is controlling the delay level. This is actually a layer. So let's do this. We have 3 knobs over here. That's right. So one of them is controlling the delay level. So that gets increased when I pull it. And one of them is controlling the delay feedback, so the feedback gets increased when I pull this. And the last one is controlling the filter frequency of that of this sound. So together, this is so cool with kraft. You can layer it like that. So together, That's another strong point with Kraft. It's so awesome being able to build a track from scratch and building it for a live performance. So I mean, since it is like that, I'm always thinking ahead of how would I like to perform this? And as you're building it, you're testing it. So at the end, you don't just end up with a track that you put up on Bandcamp or SoundCloud or iTunes or whatever. You're ending up with something that you can perform with. Something you can film. Because today, for me, music should be just as visual as it should be audible. And so I just love this interface. It looks cool too. It looks playful, and it is playful. That's the Arpeggiator. So right atop, on top of all of these rhombus shapes, I can't say that, Joe. Is it right? Rhombus. I'm just gonna say cells from now on. So these cells are just a screamy lead. I got a rhombus in my throat now. Let me just have a zip, a zip, a sip of water. Man, those rhombus shakes are really messing with my throat. So the way I designed this is so that I don't have to think about what I'm doing. Just check this. I mean, that's brilliant, right? I just move my fingers in an 8 shape. I don't even have to think about what keys there are. I can just do this while I'm doing something else over here. So I can really multitask the way I want to. It's really awesome. I love it. So it's just a screamy lead that I made. And I can't really say much about it. I did work a lot with the equalizer. I do that with all of them. As you can see, I'm using a high pass filter here, and peak, low pass, high pass, band pass, right, band pass. So there are 4 filter types. What I've done is I've used a high pass filter to cut off all the bass. I mean, I can't even emphasize how much time I actually spent on actually mixing this project. That's where most of my work went into. I mean, building the surface didn't really take that long. I was doing it over a week, but it's not like I work for 8 hours a week. I mean, I had to make other stuff and videos and things like that. So I worked on and off for a week, but in real time, maybe it took me like 10 hours to build this, but not to actually build it. I mean, most of that time, or half of that time, went into just mixing everything and getting the equalizers right, so that I in the end had a track that sounded so good that I wouldn't good enough so I wouldn't have to equalize it anything when mastering it inside Igor Vasiliev's mastering app, an app I've used for 4 years for all of my audio. All of my videos I've made, the audio always passes through there, and also the tracks and stuff. And why I do this is because I'm not a mastering engineer. I don't know how to master properly. I just simply use some finished curves. I don't do that much of equalizing because I want my viewers to hear what's actually going on. I just slightly compress stuff and maximize the levels. That's what I do. So I don't have much to say about this. I made one cell, and then I just copied it, went into the cell, and basically just moved the note inside the sequencer. But what I did do is I made sure that each note was 1 bar long, because I wanted it to be long enough for it not to be re-triggered, so I could play it for as long as I wanted it, without it having to be re-triggered in the middle of holding a note or something like that. That's basically it. So if we move to in between here, we can see that, maybe you can't see that, but there are 2 black shapes here. that is a sampler, and inside I've loaded up a sound that I recorded in Cubasis with Sunriser by Beep Street. Sunriser for iPad by Beep Street. And I'm using a sound inside the Spirits Sunriser pack that I gave away some time ago. So it's one of my own presets, basically. I think it's called Himalaya or something. I can't remember. Or Spirits or something. I think Joe told me yesterday, but I can't remember. So I just loaded it up in here. I set it to 8 bars. Now, I'm using time stretch, but I actually made sure that it would be like 130 BPMs. I looped it in Cubasis just to make it sound good, so it wouldn't cut when being looped inside Kraft. But the time stretching is quite good in Kraft. It's not bad at all. I like it. So right under it, we have another sample. Okay, so I have to have a drum loop or something moving, so... Right, okay, so for me to be able to see what happens now, I don't have any other loops playing, and this is what happens when I try to play this. As you can see, I can't gate it the way I want to. I have to actually have a loop playing that is just as long as the loop is that I want to gate in bars. And this loop is 4 bars long, okay? And so I have to have a loop playing that is at least 4 bars long. If we look at the drum loop here, for instance, we can see that this drum loop is 2 bars long. And so it's too short for me to be able to gate the entire length of this loop here. Let me show you. The playback of the loop, it goes around in 2 bars when I have a 2-bar loop playing. So if you want to gate it like I do here, then you have to make sure that the loop playing or whatever material is playing is longer than or just as long as the actual loop you want to gate is. So if the loop you want to gate is 4 bars or 2 bars, you have to have at least 2 bars or 4 bars, depending on. I think you get my point, right? So let's move on down here. Now there is a cell missing here, and I accidentally removed it yesterday by accident, and I didn't think I saved the surface, but obviously it did. So yeah, there's supposed to be one here, but let's have a listen to it. So it's basically just a on a pad sound, and it's it's just a pad laid out as a keyboard, and so I've moved around with the scale a bit, and this is, I just created this and even this one up here to fill out the beginning of the track. From the beginning, this track wasn't this hyper as it is, or it didn't have as much energy as the final track have. It was much calmer, and it only had this drum loop. So when I worked on it, I always do that with my tracks. I always have a calm section, and then I drive up all of the rhythms and everything, and I make it feel faster, go like double tempo. So that's something I do. I love doing that, and that's just something I hear a lot in like garage music from the UK and stuff like that. So I just love that, and so I do it with my tracks, and that's how everything else just came to be. So the thing is, up here is the same thing. It was a pad from the beginning, but then I changed the attack of the sound. So it got more of a, it's not plucked, but it's more plucked, more string-like than this sound down here, which is obviously a pad. So I started with 2 loops, and then I just made these fill nodes like this. A fill, and then I have to choose the right instrument. And when you're working with Kraft, one of the bad things with Kraft is that this gets very confusing when you have a lot of instruments, because some of the colors might look the same, and if you don't have a photographic memory, then you'll easily get lost. So many times I was jumping back and in out of menus just to see that I was in the right sound. Many times I chose the wrong instrument. This could be worked on, but I've already told Alex this at Studio Amplify. So let's just see what happens, what they will come up with. I mean, making an app takes a long time. They worked for what like 4 years on this already, and it takes time making quality stuff. So I have patience, because as the app is right now, it is usable and it's workable, and I've already proven that. So yeah, let's move in between here. Oh yeah, by the way, if you have any questions about anything in here, then just ask them, and I'll try to answer it. I'll also have a really short Q&A at the end. I'm not sure if this video is gonna look good, or if YouTube is gonna mess up the algorithm when it's compressing it and putting it up as a video after the stream is done, because that's what happened yesterday. So I really hope that this will work. So let's move to this thing here. I absolutely love this one. That's why I filled up all of the cells with hearts. And I've got 2 loops here with moons in them. And I just ended up not using this one, because it's this, I made this for this bass. I was thinking that I was gonna have like this repetitive loop in the middle of the track, but I went against it. If you have ever listened to any of my songs before on SoundCloud or Bandcamp, you can hear that I always change stuff throughout my songs. I don't reuse this exact same thing always. I might use what I had in the beginning, but I'll add something new to it. I like when music evolves, when it starts out slow and ends up fast, when new stuff gets added all the time, new mixing techniques, when stuff gets chopped up towards the end. That's what I want to do with my songs. I want them to feel like they're evolving and becoming something as you listen to it. I mean, we're musicians. We do get bored. Well, I can't speak for you, but I can speak for myself. I get bored quite fast if something is too repetitive. And the funny thing is, some people think that my things are too repetitive. You know, it's all in the ears of the beholder. Wait, can you say that? Can you say ears of the beholder? Ears of the listener? Ears of the... It's all in the... It's all... Never mind. So, I don't know much about music theory. I actually have no idea what kind of key I'm playing in, or what kind of notes I'm using, unless the app tells me, or the keyboard tells me, or some musician comes by and says, hey, you're playing this in C minor, and I'll be like, I had no idea. I don't care. I just care about what I hear, and I care about what notes I don't like, and that's why I like scaling options inside apps. So I always remove all the keys I don't want or I don't need. I seldomly use chromatic scales unless the app doesn't have the right scale for me. I most of the time, 100% of the time, always look for a minor scale. Don't like the major scales. I don't like happy songs, basically. I think I maybe made one song in. Where I'm going with this is, so since I don't know music theory, the way I did these chords was by putting in one note at a time and listening to it. And this is actually the same way I did the other organ here. So this whole organ thing right here was created that way. I put in one note at a time and listened and then moved it. And that's what I like about Kraft, that when you have notes in your sequencer, you just press play and you can listen to it. So while you're changing stuff around, it's really nice. Another bad thing actually with Kraft is that the black shapes can be really hard to see, and especially if you're filming stuff, you can hardly see them. You can see that in my original My Craft is Strong video. You can't see the black shapes, something I also told Alex. And the only thing they would really need to do is to change the background to a little brighter color, and they can still use black. Right, oh, this thing right here. No, wait, I'm not done here. So this morph cell, it actually adds a bit of delay feedback to the delay. So I'm basically just driving up. I think I'm driving up the feedback. Edit. Let's go in here. Yeah, I'm just increasing the feedback to the maximum amount. I would absolutely love it if Alex and the guys, well, they're actually two awesome brothers at Studio Amplify making this. I would love it if they would allow us to drive up the feedback to the fullest. This is one of the only settings I've found inside Kraft that can't be pulled up to 1 to the maximum. They've limited the output value to 0.95, and that's basically because you get distortion when you pull the delay at maximum. Maybe you've tried that with different analog type of delay with BDD circuits. I love BDD circuits in analog delays. I've built a few delays like that myself. And I just love it that you can overdrive it and get distortion feedback in your delay tail. And that's how they did it when they do this dub thing in the old dub era back in Kingston, Blackhawk Studios. The Scientist uses a lot of that stuff. I mean, it's a signature sound for Roots dub, basically. And I would love to do that here. Just driving the feedback to distortion would be awesome. And then we have another knob here that I didn't use. So I'll show you what that does. And I'll just add delay so you can hear. Okay, I'm still in edit mode. Sorry. Let's do that. So I was gonna use it for an effect, but yeah. Let's see here. John Back is asking, can't you edit while playing? Because that would be easier to arpeggiate the sound than edit it. Yeah, right. Well, of course you can, John. The thing is, it has to be a loop, or let me show you. This isn't a loop. So if I'm inside one of these, then what I have to do to make it into a loop, I go into edit. Since it's not a loop, it's just gonna play the length and it's gonna stop. So to make it into a loop, I go to the cogwheel menu. And I'll have to, let's see here, loop count, infinity. Now, if we go out and look, again, nothing happened to it. Good, but when I play it now, okay, so it loops in infinity. And that's something I do with all of these keyboard things. I put the loop count to 1, so it just goes once. I don't want it to re-trigger when I play it. But if you want to, like, tweak your sounds while you're playing it, then you put it into infinity, and then you can put it into toggle. And then it's playing in infinity. So I'm gonna put it back into hold and loop count 1. So it just plays 1. But that's basically how you do it. You make a proper loop out of it. Let me see here. I think it actually goes into that. So toggle. And you can see now it's a loop. So when I press it. Huh? Why did... Oh, sorry. Let's go in here. Edit. Come on. Toggle? It's supposed to be hold, right? Infinity. Okay, so you put it in... No. Am I missing something here? Wait. Wait a minute. What am I missing here? Have I understood? Oh, there we go. And now it behaves like any type of loop, like this one. Let me just change this back so that it's like it was. Right. And that's basically the keyboard. So we've taken everything from here, and I've also explained this one. The only thing I haven't said about this keyboard, I mean, this is basically the same thing as these, only they loop. So if we go into this, we can see that I've got the loop count at infinity and the interaction is hold. So they will play as long as I hold it. And this is because I wanted to do stuff like this. Yeah, basically. So I wanted to be able to play more things at once, but since I can't multitask that well, I don't have a problem with moving my fingers in a square shape. So that's why I made them loop and these ones not loop, because I simply want to play them like that. Now, the thing is, you could see in the live show that I did trigger some stuff wrong with this keyboard. And that's when I do this. It's like 2 times in the video. And it's because I'm triggering it at the wrong time, because these are synced to a, let's see here. These are synced. No, I've turned off the synchronization. Is that why I triggered it right now? Well, from the beginning, I had them synced to the master. And so I'll show you what that means. You see? That way, when you hit it and it's synced like that, it won't play until it's time for it to play. So if you're a good keyboard player and you know how to trigger stuff correctly, then just go into here and turn off the synchronization mode, and then it will act more as a piano. So and then it doesn't really matter if it's a more humanized rhythm, because it will sound more live. I didn't have that set like this when I did the video, and that's why I'm triggering it wrong. Besides, I'm kind of a shitty player, and that's that one. The only thing I haven't explained is that I explained it yesterday, and I maybe I shouldn't. Well, maybe I should. Okay, so there's a rainbow here, and this is a pun. This is a very far-fetched pun. Okay, so there's a rainbow here, and it's got honey under it. And for me, honey is the nature's gold. So there's gold at the end of the rainbow, and somehow that was funny in my brain. Really funny. I even chuckled, like, ha, like that. I chuckled at this thing. I don't feel like chuckling at it now. I feel like chuckling at myself, but that's a thing I did. It's a thing inside Kraft now. Right, so let's move down here. Here we have a drum loop. And I took this drum loop out of a pack called Vintage, not Winted, Vintage, Vintage breaks. So these are breaks, drum and bass breaks, and dubstep breaks recorded with a real Ludwig drum set. And it sounds, oh, if you're a beatnik, if you like break beats, if you like dubstep with real drums, if you like drum and bass with real drums, if you like that kind of stuff, that is a sample pack worth purchasing. You see, many times when you buy sample packs with vocals in them, like this Indian vocal loop, I got this from an Earth Moments pack. They make some really great world music loops. I wouldn't call it world music because for me it's just music. I grew up with Indian and Pakistani and African music and a lot of reggae and stuff. There is no world music for me. That's just music. But Earth Moments make a lot of great sample packs, and I think it's called Voice of India or something. This in that pack, I can't use all of them because some of them are in major scales, and some of them are in the wrong keys, wrong BPMs, and that's what happens when you buy sample packs with voices in them or instruments. I never buy with not with synth samples, but with tablas and stuff like that. I can't use all of them. But with the Ludwig drum set vintage breaks kit, you can use all of them because they're just drum loops and they all sound great and you can mix them up. So let's have a listen to this. And it's a great filler for my drum break. So listen to this beat without it. Hello CB Legacy, I can see that you write hello everyone. So hello and thank you for joining up here with my haQ live streaming with Kraft. I did this yesterday. The stream got really effed up. So I have to make a new one and this is it. So listen what happens when I play this drum loop together with the drum set, with the Ludwig drum loop. So you can hear that, sorry I hit the microphone there, you can hear that as soon as we throw in that loop, there's so much energy gets added into the song. It just brings up the energy so much, and I keep hitting the microphone and it's really annoying. It's because I have it at a microphone stand. No, it's not really a microphone stand, it's a note stand. And I've basically taped the microphone to it. That's why it's too close, because of the shape of the note stand. So this is why I always throw in like real drum loops into my tracks, because it just adds so much energy and I love it. Now right above this, let's move on to the drum loops here. Wait, maybe I can just show you this. We go in here, we can see that the nice thing with, no, let's make a new one. I'm just gonna make a new one. So make a new audio thing. And I'm gonna make a new channel. No, we're gonna choose we're gonna make a new channel and press load. Go to import, go to audio share. And that's the nice thing. Audio share integrates into Kraft. So here we can go to my Loopmaster sample collection. And I recently purchased a loop kit called Sacred Indian Chants. Now it's got the wrong BPMs for projects like this, but if you're working with like 70 BPM projects, 110 BPM projects, it's got some great spiritual like stuff in there that you can chop up. I bought it at a sale, so I got it at a really, really low price. And I've been using Loop Masters for so long. They have this, what do you call it? Like virtual cache. It's a thing they use to make you come back, you know? The thing is, it's actually working, because whenever you buy a loop pack, you get a bit amount of virtual cache, a percentage of the thing you pay. You get that back into a virtual cache count, and then you can use that when you buy new packs. And in this case, I could use it when I bought this pack, even though it was on sale. So I got it at a ridiculously low price that I can't remember. And now my virtual cache is out, so yeah. But it's awesome. So you basically just go into whatever folder, and you can import folders, even entire folders, and you can import sound by sound if you want. So that's how I loaded up all of the samples for this project. I'm gonna delete this cell. Now, one thing I notice is there is no way to delete instruments you create. This is something, by the way, that beginners of Kraft, when they open up Kraft and they don't know how to use it, they think that there aren't more than 4 instruments in here. They miss this little thing here where you add a channel. So you can add instruments, but there's no way of actually deleting them. So that's a problem, because now it's full. It's so full, and I'm thinking that they probably take up CPU power. Now I'm using an iPad Pro here, 12.9 inch, so it's got plenty of power, but if I use this on my iPad mini, I don't know how it would run. I'm gonna test it, because you can share all of your surfaces to a server that Studio Amplify runs. And so you can share your surfaces with others, which is awesome. I haven't done that with this one. Maybe I should. Maybe I should share this one so that others can try it. Yeah, I'll do that after this episode. Or maybe I can just show you what that looks like when I'm done showing you all the stuffs in here. So if we go to this side, we have drum sets, basically drum loops. And then I've basically just added some cells that triggers some drum notes inside these kits. And the cool thing is you can get some really cool actions going on there when you move fingers over cells like that. Down here we have the slow section. Oh, I love Kraft so much. I mean, if we have a look in one of these cells, we can see that I'm just triggering stuff inside one of the drum instruments that I loaded with Silky drum set. And then I've basically just put in a little note there. And if I put in more notes and I trigger it, you can get some cool rhythmical patterns. And the way that you let the cells interact with each other, you choose that inside the cogwheel menu. So right now I have solo and fill. If I have only solo, then it will solo out this cell, even though I have this loop playing. You can see it goes gray there. But it gets so much more interesting when you put them inside solo fill or blend mode or something like that. I mean, there's not much to say about the drums. The only thing I had problems with was equalizing them correctly, because when I work inside other DAWs, like say Gadget or Cubases, which are my main DAWs that I work inside for different reasons. I use Cubases mainly for audio because it's like a normal audio wave station for me. Wave station? It's like an... It's so much easier to work with audio inside a DAW like Cubases than it is inside Gadget, even though we have the Zirish gadgets. And if you look at Gadget, it's, for me, it's so much more fun to modulate synthesizers and stuff like that, because all of the modulation sources are already tied into a really neat grid where you can just go through all of the sections and just modulate what you want in tempo with the BPM, and it's just lovely for that. So that's why I use two different DAWs. And for live shows, live things, I use audio bus because I like mixing different things together. And sometimes I use apps like Kraft or Launchpad to do live stuff, because you can do everything that you need in them. Yeah? So basically. So Kraft is a bit different though. I mean, it's not a DAW, but it's like a live DAW. And I'm not even thinking about stuff like Ableton Live or something like that. But think about it, it almost is. I mean, you got clip launching. It's pretty amazing. And I'm also allowed to say this, MIDI out will come for Kraft. I talked to Alex about this. I said it yesterday in the live stream, and some people have already disclosed that on the internets, that MIDI out will come. So imagine this. You're doing all these cells, all these things, and then you send it out to synthesizers like Unique from Sugarbytes, Thor from Propellerhead, Waldo's Nave. I mean, it's just sick what you can do with it then. Just make all of this and send out MIDI to all these different synthesizers. It's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick when that comes out. I don't know when, but it's gonna come out, and it's gonna be awesome. Absolutely awesome. Let's see here. Kraft doesn't have a sequencer, as far as you know. Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's got a piano roll for the notes for each of the instruments, drums, lead, and stuff like that. But it doesn't have like a sequencer for the loops. The loops work more like they do in something like Bloxwave or Launchpad. You trigger it and it runs, and you can set it to trigger in different ways. But here you can actually gate the sample, the length of it. So the sample keeps on running, but you can gate it by hand. In Launchpad, you have a gator that you can use instead. So it's tied to a function you have to add to that loop. Here you can just do it by hand, by finger. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's very different, but just the thing with Kraft that you're building a live set and a track at the same time. I mean, it's got a strength that not many other apps like this has. I can't think of any like this. Not quite like this. This is pretty sick. So I do recommend it. I do have an app link down below in the description if you want to go just grab it if you're like really tired of listening to me. By the way, I am an Apple affiliate, so I do get... Oh, they lowered it, by the way. We used to get like 7.5% of someone's purchase when they purchase it. We used to get paid by Apple for selling apps for them. That's what the affiliate program is. Now they turned it down to 2.5, and I wasn't earning that much money from it either way. I mean, it's kind of a long stretch to get someone to go into the description box, find the right link, and click it. And usually people buy their stuff off Discord or other sites anyway. And that's something I do recommend too. If you like Discords and you want to support Discords, then buy your apps through his links. If you want to support me and you don't want to do like Patreon and stuff like that, then you can buy apps through my links in my description boxes. Or if you're at like Music App Blog by John, then go buy through his links. So yeah, it's another way of supporting people. Where usually most of us bloggers and vloggers, YouTubers are Apple affiliates. So to get back to this, there's not much more to say about the drums. I did add this filter thing for the drums. But I decided against using it because usually when I use it, it doesn't... it didn't sound that well when I use it. I even have one for the master track. So if I turn everything off, it's gonna go bonkers now. Okay, so that last sound here, this smashed sound, this is a sound that is like four years old. I said 4 yesterday. It could even be 5 years old. I can't remember now. But I made this with Beep Street's Impactor. It's an awesome little drum synth. It's based on resonator synthesis. Like Mersenne from Ice Gear. Only Beep Street made this. It's an older app. If you don't know what Impactor is, it listens to the microphone input. You can even use contact microphones and connect it to your iPad and put the contact microphone into a jar or whatever, and it listens to the volume input, and it has sounds in there that sounds like these are synthesized drums. You can make 6 sounds with it, but there are some sounds that sound like real tablas and timbales and stuff like that. I recommend that app. It hasn't been updated for a while, but it looks like the guy from Beep Street, he's come back to iOS. He posted a picture of a new synthesizer he's working on called Xenon. And I am testing it at the moment, and that's all I can say. But it looks like he's back, so maybe we'll get to see an Impactor 2. Maybe. Well, at least I'm hoping for it. This is just... These aren't even rumors. This is me hoping for it, because I love Impactor to death. It's one of the best ones. There's nothing like it quite on the market. It just sounds absolutely brilliant. And this sound... all that sound, that's just one preset that I made inside Impactor. And I've used it for many years. And I've got it saved with 5 different versions with different equalizer shapes to it. And so I'm using it here right now. And I've used it in many other tracks I've done before. I made it initially for my first Buddha drum track. So I just love that sound so much. And it really suits this thing here. I mean, it's a good smack sound. It really, it's good for punctuating breaks and stuff like that. Okay, so we don't have that much left. I'll show you this. That sound comes from Kraft itself. It already has a few samples in there that you can use, and this is one of them. And I didn't use it. I put it there. I gave it a tornado emoji, and then I just didn't use it. That's basically it. So we have these 2 things here. It's the last thing I'm going to explain, and then we can have a Q&A. So if you have any questions, think them up and ask them, and I'll check in the chats later. So
step back, this is my sound system.
That's one of them.
Right, listen up. We're going in hard and rough.
So these 2 vocal samples comes from another project, another video that I made earlier. It's called Step Off, and it's basically me rapping to a Core Gadget track that I made. I'm gonna make a series about that Core Gadget track as soon as I finish the post dubstep production kit series. I've got one more episode of that one left, and then I'm gonna get into the Step Off project. Don't know what genre I'll give it. It's almost dubsteppy. Almost. It's not quite dubstep. So I basically just sampled the audio, the vocals, and put them in here. And then I realized that they had too much bass in them, and that's why I put these morph cells here. So if I turn it off, you can hear the bass coming back.
Step back, this is my sound system. Step back, this is my sound system. Step back, this is my sound system.
And I could have just, fiddled with the filter and set it to a permanent state. But at the time I was working with the morph cells and I wasn't sure how I wanted the sound to be. So these morph cells shouldn't even be here. I don't need them. I could remove them, go into each of these cells with the samples in them, go to the filter and just equalize them and put them to a permanent state so they will sound like this. But I'm lazy, and so that's why these morph cells are here, even though they're just turned on all of the time, basically. Okay, so the absolute last thing to explain are these. And these are trigger cells. So I mean, you can see in the video I made, I also have the video, the My Craft is Strong video, performance music video I did with this surface. I've linked to that in the description box if you haven't seen that one, so you can go watch it if you want. So you can see in that one, I'm triggering different loops. And the way you do that is, if I create a morph cell, not a morph, a group cell, there, then I can choose targets by doing this. I go to targets and then I choose not that one but this, and let's choose that note. And so when I press this, it will activate those. And so that's basically how I do it. And so if we go into this, you have different modes for it. And right now I'm using all of these group cells for triggering loops. I'm using the solo mode for them. And that basically means that when they turn the loops or things you've selected to be triggered from a group, then if that group button activator is in solo mode, it will only activate those chosen loops and things and turn off everything else. You can also choose switch and blend mode. And if you have blend, it will keep whatever loops you have on already and then just trigger the next thing. And you can also set the Q time in either 16th, 1/8 for 1 bar or 2 bar. And I usually use 2 bars because I like having some time for my count-ins, basically. That's pretty much it. As you can see here, I start out slowly with an egg. So get out of edit mode. And then I move on to a hatching egg. And then I move on to a chicken. And so when I get to the chicken stage, it means that my project has matured to have some energy introduced into it. I mean, these emojis, they're not just there to make it look crazy. They actually mean something to me. So I start with the egg. That's the beginning of the project. The egg hatches, so it gets a little bit more things added in there. I sound crazy, don't I? Okay, and then it gets all grown up. Well, as grown up as a chicken can get, basically. I could have gone with a rooster for the next one, but no, I wanted to symbolize that I'm adding energy, and that's why I'm using lightnings here. So these lightnings means that I'm triggering this thing here. You can see that this drum loop has a rain cloud, and this one has a lightning cloud, hence the lightning. And the way that I'm stopping everything and just activating the smash, if we go and look to this X thing here, the X basically means turn everything off, and look at targets, then we can see that the only thing I've got chosen is this. Now the interesting thing with these group target things is that when you choose stuff, they go black. But if you try to choose something that is already black, I've chosen it now, but you can't see that. So that's something that the guys over at Studio Amplify is going to have to work with and change. And that's basically, since it is in solo mode also, when I trigger it and it counts in and it starts, it will only activate the smash and turn off every other loop, which means I can get a dramatic outro, basically. And that's the surface of my kraft is strong. That's it. So I can't see any questions inside the chat window. So if you have any, I'll just give you a chance to ask question if you want to. I mean, if you don't want to, then you don't want to. So I'll just exit this surface and discard the changes and go into Atomos. And I'm just gonna play with this just for a little while, not that long. When I'm done building this surface, this is going to become a crazy surface. Right now I have Atomos here right now, and that's also a kind of a wordplay pun because it's got like the atom thing there. I'm so lame. I know I'm so lame, but you know, in my head it's funny. In my head it is funny. So I don't know where I'm going with this. Okay, I'm using one of the chant things, but the thing is, this project is in 140 BPMs, and that loop was in the right key and right everything except from the BPM. And this is a rule I have when time stretching stuff. I only allow to time stretch loops up or down 10 BPMs at the most. Because after that, you start getting these crazy artifacts introduced into your stream. You can hear that it's warbling, and that's due to the time stretching, because the original loop is 110 BPMs and this project is 140, so it has to stretch the sample for 30 BPMs, and that's not good. If the sample was in 70 BPM, then I wouldn't have to stretch it. I could just tell kraft that this loop is 140, double the tempo, and it would run at the same rate. Or if it was 80 BPMs, I could say that it's 160 BPMs, and it would times. Yeah, you get what I mean. I only allow for like 10 BPMs up or down in time stretch, otherwise it sounds really bad. Imagine when I'm done with this surface, I'm gonna give Atomos his own pet, a dog. And yesterday I was talking about making it even bark, so I'm gonna record a little woof sound, I think, and make it bark with a filter wobble on it or something like that. It's gonna be crazy. So I'm gonna fill this entire surface and make it look like a painting or something. And that's gonna be my next music video thing. And then I'm probably gonna have to make a live stream, hopefully, if this one looks good when it goes up as a video afterwards. Right, so I see a question about caterpillars. Caterpillars? Oh, is there CB Legacy is asking, is there a caterpillar butterfly emoji? Yes, yes there is. Let's create another fill and give it this one, right? Okay, and now we're gonna select it, go to label, and we're gonna go to emojis, and we're gonna find the little caterpillar. Let's see here. We have a caterpillar right there. Now, okay, you can't see that there, but you can see it here. So right now, we've got a caterpillar right there. It's a caterpillar. Like, oh, by the way, in Swedish, pille means... Never mind what that means. Don't ask anyone what that means. I have no idea why I even started talking about that. I hope there are no Swedes in here, in the chat room. Doesn't look like it, not yet. I hope not. Right, so that's basically the craft surface that I made. I'm gonna save that little caterpillar, exit surface, and save changes. Now, I got asked yesterday if you can record or export sounds from Craft. It's not like you can go into a cell or a loop and press export to export one sound. What you have to do is you have to use the recording function inside Craft. Okay, so you press record here, and then you simply start working it. Like that, and it saves your recording, and then when you go out of... Okay, I saved that. When you go out of your surface, then you can find all of your recordings here. So you record your stuff, your performance. You can even just record a sound by triggering it. And then you can export it through this menu. And then you can send it to wherever you want to send it. So that's how I sent the performance I did, the track, the audio I recorded. I recorded it inside Craft when I filmed it with my iPhone. And I just sent that audio to Igor Vasilyev's mastering app, just fixed a little bit with the compression, and then I sent that to LumaFusion, where I edited the video. So yeah, even though you can't export like inside loops or inside stuff like that, you can record it and then export it afterwards. Right. I can see John Back is saying he's very curious about what... Oh, you're curious about that pille thing. I'm not going to tell you, John. I'm not going to tell you. I want this stream to... I don't want YouTube's algorithms to just gank my video because I say something inappropriate. It's just silly. No, I'm not going to tell you. No. You'll have to find this Swedish person and ask them what pille means. Just ask them. Oh, wait, don't do that. Okay, if you do that, whatever happens, it's not gonna be my fault, right? All right. Let me show you real quick how you... am I connected to the network? Okay, I'm just gonna turn on Wi-Fi here. And I'm gonna go to the network, and you can see this network tab. So you basically make your own account. Can't reach Craft. Oh, there you go. So here you can find surfaces that people upload, and Alex and Jonah at Studio Amplify, they upload stuff also. So you share it to this server. Now, they did have some problems with versioning. So if you were using an older version and you uploaded it, you couldn't download it again. They're working on it. I mean, it's so early in the development of Craft. It's not really early, but in the official Craft versions, it's still early in development. So there's gonna be some baby steps to take before everything goes, well enough. So they're probably gonna have it tight and knit. They're gonna have it tight and... Oh, this headband! They're gonna have it really neat and tight in some time. So the way you upload stuff is basically just pressing the 3 dots up here. Let's say I want to upload my Atomos. Upload to network. Can't... Oh! At this moment, you cannot upload surfaces where you have imported your own samples. I'm thinking that they've probably done this in the beginning, not to clog up the server with a lot of samples. But they'll probably fix that for later date. But if I take this one has no samples in it. So, Beatman, upload to network. Yeah, and I get this. So it's kind of like uploading to Allihopa if you've ever used like Figure or something like that. And then you can choose private or public, give it a name, a description, and just press upload, and it will upload to the server. That's basically Kraft right there. That's Kraft for you. And I do recommend getting this app. Now I'm gonna try to switch the screen here to my ending screen. So let's see how this goes. I hope my stream stays stable. haQ Patreon. So thank you so much for watching. All comments and ratings are very much appreciated. I've also got a Patreon. You see, when I make my haQ episodes, I get to edit these out, but I can't. I also have a Patreon site. No, I don't have a site. I have a Patreon page. I also have a Patreon. So if you want to support creativity and great content here on YouTube, then why not sign up on Patreon? By the way, like just a few days ago, I made this tutorial for Unique. And then I received some extra codes for Unique for both iPhone and iPad. Sorry for shaking the camera there. And so I sometimes have these lotteries. Whenever I get extra codes, I make this lottery so that people can throw their names into a hat over at Patreon. So, and then I draw the winners out of the hat, and usually I film the whole process and I put it up so they can see that I'm really pulling names out of a hat. So 8 new owners over at my Patreon site got their own versions of either iPad for iPhone or iPad for Unique for iPhone and Unique for iPad. I had 4 codes of each version. I think you get what I mean. So I tried to do some extra stuff for the patrons there. I never really know what's gonna be good as extra content on Patreon. I also got this series where I'm explaining how all the whole process of making the Audio Bus launch videos. I was hired to do those videos, and I've got 6 videos up. It's a finished series. One of the videos is like 12 minutes long, and the shortest one is like 2 minutes. I'm doing everything from reading scripts, I'm showing how I processed the audio, how I had to make the background with the wooden background and the camera positions. All of that is being explained in those videos. So join up on Patreon today if you think that would be a fun thing. I'm planning some other cool stuff for the future there. If you don't want to do Patreon, you can always do these one-off PayPal things. I'd rather you use Patreon because then you have access to all the extra stuff. It's easier, but if you don't want to do that, you can do the PayPal thing. I have the link down in the description. And if you don't want to do that, always, if you share my videos to people who might be concerned with music and mobile music, press the thumbs up. Oh my God, I spit a lot there. I'm so sorry. Right. You can press the thumbs. You can press the thumbs. You can press the thumbs up under my videos if you think that the videos deserve it. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. So I hope you found this craft video useful. And hopefully, when this video goes up, YouTube won't F up the audio and video. In Sweden we say hålla tummarna. Jag kommer hålla tummarna för det här. So it basically means holding your thumbs means wishing for good luck. Wishing for the best. Yeah, I'm holding my thumbs. As usual, I wish you a very productive... Wait, one more question. John Back is asking, does it do Allihopa, Jakob? No, Kraft is not tied into Allihopa. It's not. But I do think it should be. It's going to become one of the biggest music sharing sites between musicians in the world. It already is quite amazing. So I think they should be on there. I've already told Alex. But, you have to prioritize as a developer. So we'll just see. They'll probably focus on the app first and making it run as smooth as possible and then adding stuff and things to it. I just want to see them keep developing this. As usual, I wish you a very productive week. What do I say? As usual, I wish you a productive week now. Now go finger all of your stuff and have a lot of fun doing it. And now comes the bit where I fiddle around and try to find the stop the stream now thing. Is that it? Oh, come on! Okay, bye-bye.